She got that. She got that.
Hello and welcome to DriveSpark. This is Bharadwaj and that is Honda's new Streetfighter motorcycle, the CB300F. And we are here in Ramoji Film City, Hyderabad to test drive this naked motorcycle. Let's get started. Before we discuss about its interesting styling of this street naked motorcycle, let me tell you a little bit about its pricing and colors and variants as well. Yes, it is available in two variants, that is the Deluxe and the Deluxe Pro. What you see here is the Deluxe Pro. So the prices start at 2.24 lakhs for the Deluxe and the price for the Deluxe Pro is 2.29 lakh. The difference between the two variants is just that this one features Honda's Bluetooth technology where it enables navigation and a couple of other voice recognition features, etc. Other than that, there is no other differences between both the motorcycles. Now speaking about the colors of this motorcycle, what you see here is the matte access grey. Now this is completely finished in matte, there is no glossy finish at all on this motorcycle. If you need a glossy finish, there is one color that you can go for, that's the sporty red that is finished in gloss. There is another matte color on this motorcycle, that is a matte marble blue. That also looks fantastic. You get blue highlights on the fuel tank and absolutely looks very cool. Now that is about the pricing and the colors of the CB300F. Now it is time to talk about the design of the motorcycle. So as you can see, it is a typical Street Fighter look. Now this is inspired by Honda's other bigger capacity CB motorcycles. For example, like the CB300F, which looks similar, especially from the part of the headlight that is inspired by the CB600F. Now this headlamp looks aggressive and also is a full complete LED unit. Now other elements that add to the front bulk or the front aggressive look of the motorcycle are these semi-fairings that add to the bulk of the motorcycle, and these gold finished USB forks that certainly looks apart, and body colored mud guards that also features matte finish. That is something that you need to look out to, especially with the stone chips and all going on to that mud guard. Now apart from that, this motorcycle also gets very sleek indicators. Now these are LED units. In fact, the entire lighting system on this motorcycle are LEDs. Now this certainly gives it a premium look and premium feel, as this motorcycle is sold exclusively at Honda Big Wing dealership showroom across India, and Honda has certainly made sure that it gets a premium feel through all these design elements. Now moving on to the side profile, you get to see the 17-inch alloy wheels, which is finished in black. It is a multi-spoke alloy wheels and certainly matches the look of the motorcycle. Also on the side profile, you can see the bulk of the motorcycle. It certainly feels compact though. However, it certainly has some aggressive elements that is inspired by other CB motorcycles, especially this semi-fairing. What you see right here on the tank features the CB300F badging on with red details that certainly looks apart, and also this finished in light grey as compared to the dark grey on the tank. That gives it a dual tone look with red accents that certainly looks sporty and looks apart as well. Apart from that, you can see the 14-liter fuel tank. This muscular fuel tank aids for better rider ergonomics, because you can tuck in your thighs here and grip the tank with a good amount of grip. Now I'll talk more on that as to how a rider sits on this motorcycle later in the video. Coming back to the design, Honda has made sure that they have given the keyhole right in front of the fuel filler cap, and it's present at the end of the tank and not on the handlebar like most motorcycles. Moving further back, you will be able to spot the frame of the motorcycle right here. This certainly is a all new frame and an all new engine. You can also spot the golden highlights on the engine cover and the head cover as well, which adds to the premiumness of the motorcycle. Now coming further back, you can spot the split seats on the motorcycle. Rider gets a very good cushioned seat, and also it is long and wide for the rider to lean into the motorcycle. It is also contoured to help provide even more agility to the rider on the motorcycle. And coming to the pillion seat, it is well cushioned, and as it is on all street naked motorcycles, the pillion seat is a little I can say small, but it is certainly supportive for a long ride. Now this has been a short ride of this motorcycle, but we will take this motorcycle on a full road test review and we will tell you how pillion seat comfort is as well at a later date. Now coming further back a little bit, you can spot the most attractive element on this motorcycle, that is stubby and short exhaust, and it certainly sounds apart as well. And on that note, it is time to start this motorcycle and make you hear the exhaust note of this motorcycle. That is one throaty exhaust, and you can certainly hear that. I hope so, because it's too windy right here, and I certainly hope you could hear that exhaust note. On higher revs it becomes loud and it gives you that grunt and that teeth crunching grind, what you can feel from that exhaust. That element is certainly there on this exhaust. Moving on to the rear design of the motorcycle, this is also a little bit minimalistic, because Streetfighter motorcycles are minimal in terms of design, and that certainly shows on the rear profile of the CB300F. You get a LED tail lamp. Again, these are LED units, and you get LED indicators right here placed on the tail tidy, and you get to see the aggressive looking grab rails that also gives it a bit of a character to the rear profile. And also finally you can spot a chunky sari guard right here that has been given by Honda. It is too thick. I wished for a slimmer unit, and probably I think when you buy this motorcycle, the first thing that you do is probably remove that sari guard and make the motorcycle look even better. Now it's time to speak about the switchgear quality and also the overall build and also the other features that are present on this motorcycle. Starting with the instrument cluster that you see here. Now this is a negative LED panel. Now this instrument cluster features a ton of data, including a rev counter that is in a circular shape and is certainly exciting to watch. And also there is a large readout of the speedometer, and you get trip meters, and also surprisingly enough, Honda has managed to pack this with navigation, turn-by-turn navigation as well, which is enabled through Honda's voice activation control unit. This is because this unit features Bluetooth technology, which when paired to Honda's application, you'll get to use certain more features such as navigation and also vehicle diagnostic, etc. That certainly comes in handy if you are remotely operating or even checking your motorcycle, for that fact. And moving on to the USB port. Yes, USB port is something that you will have to really try hard to find it, because it is tucked away under the headlamp cowl right next to the USB forks on the left side of the motorcycle. Now that is an interesting placement by Honda. They could have probably given it on the tank or even on the switchgear, but they have managed to put it there. So the wire has to be a little lengthier if you are charging any device and putting it in your pocket. Certainly not advisable to charge it while riding, because the charging wire can interfere a little bit when you are turning the handlebar. Now that is a feature that could have been better on this motorcycle. Also moving on to the switch gear. Now on the right of the motorcycle you get to see three buttons, that is the hazard switch and the kill switch, engine kill switch, and the starter button right here. Now these are fairly simple and easy to use. It does what it says, but things change when you move on to the left side of the switch gear. Now here is a D-pad that you use to control the instrument cluster and also to use its Bluetooth enabled features. And one interesting placement is Honda has placed the horn above and indicator toggle switch below, which is usually found on the opposite levels on most motorcycles, because indicators will be placed in the middle and right at the bottom will be the horn switch. And also the horn switch does not operate from outwards to inwards, it operates from inwards to outwards. So you will have to get used to the switch gear in terms of horn and also in terms of indication. However, the pass switch is very easy to use. You have a pass switch and also an integrated high beam switch inside it, and it is placed at the right position and is very easy to use. Now those are all the features that is present on this motorcycle. Now it is time to ride this motorcycle and tell you everything you need to know about this all new engine and the all new chassis developed by Honda. Now speaking about the performance of this motorcycle, this is an all new engine by Honda. Now this is their first oil cooled engine, because this engine has nothing to do with the CB300R that is already present on the Honda's portfolio. That is a liquid cooled unit. Now this is a single overhead cam 4-valve oil cooled engine from Honda, and it is a 293.5cc single cylinder unit. Now this produces 24.5 PS of power at 7500 RPM and produces 25.6 Newton meters of torque at 5500 RPM. This comes mated to a 6-speed gearbox with assist and slipper clutch as standard. This makes it one hell of a package when consider that the weight of the motorcycle stands at 153 kilos curb. Moving on to the performance of the motorcycle, the engine is very eager and very rev happy. It can rev up till 8500 RPM and certainly gives you the thrill that you require from a 300cc premium motorcycle. Now this particular engine is also very tractable. You can easily do lower speeds at higher gears and reach higher speeds. So for example, I took this motorcycle on 5th gear from 29 km per hour all the way up to 115 km per hour without any strain on the engine. Now that is something of a tractability that is found on all of the Honda engines. Certainly makes your job easier, especially when you're riding in stop and go traffic. And also this engine has the ability to do top speeds or triple digit speeds on lower gear as well. That adds to the tractability of the engine and also highway capabilities of this motorcycle. Now overall, this engine is certainly smooth and very refined, which is a typical trait of a Honda engine, and it certainly will make you happy because of that throaty exhaust note that you hear, especially at higher revs. Now moving on to the riding dynamics of the motorcycle, the rider certainly sits very upright and also a comfortable position. Seats are very supportive, as I mentioned earlier, and can support aggressive corners from the rider, and the rider can also aggressively lean onto the corners and take aggressive corners on the motorcycle. Now moving on to the suspension bit, now this gets a USD fork at the front and a monoshock suspension at the rear. Now the suspension setup is slightly on the stiffer side, which will certainly help in street conditions, and it will also be very supportive on smoother roads. However, taking the motorcycle at speeds over rough patches can certainly send you a thud. Now this particular suspension can also be adjusted because of preload adjustability that is found on the monoshock at the rear. It has a 6-step adjustable preload setting. According to the rider's weight, you can set it and also make the suspension either softer or harder depending on the weight of the rider. Now moving on to the riding and handling bit of this motorcycle, we were certainly testing this motorcycle on smoother roads at Ramoji Film City, and we could get a few corners to see its flickability or even the maneuverability of this bike, and this motorcycle is light on its feet. The front feels very light and you can flick this motorcycle around the corners and it will come out very stable and very smooth. However, if you are taking this corner aggressively over rough patches, due to a stiffer suspension setup, the motorcycle could feel a little unsettling at times. However, this is only a matter of getting used to the motorcycle's lightweight characteristics. Now that is about the suspension and how the motorcycle rides. Again, this was a short ride. We will do a full-fledged review and tell you everything about how this motorcycle performs under the city conditions, stop and go traffic, etc. Now moving on to the braking performance of this motorcycle, the front gets a 276mm disc brake while the rear gets a 220mm rotor. Now these are not radially mounted like the CB300R. These are the regular disc brakes that you get on most motorcycles. Now this braking hardware certainly has the good initial bite and progression to stop this light motorcycle, as not much effort is needed due to its lightweight characteristics. However, this also features a dual channel ABS, which certainly comes on a little bit too soon. This is very sensitive and we just hope that if this motorcycle ABS can be switched off, and we certainly hope that Honda can somehow retune the ABS to come on a little late so that we can enjoy hard braking, especially on smoother roads. Now moving on to another characteristic of this motorcycle which is very unique to this segment, that is the Honda traction control. So Honda calls it torque control, but it is generally a traction control that is similar to the one found on the CB350 RS. This traction control is not at all intrusive and we were able to take this bike up to good acceleration even in corners and also on straight lines. The traction control was barely there and it was not coming on too soon, which is a very good characteristic. Now this being a 300cc motorcycle, it would not need much of a torque control assist or a traction control assist because of having around 25 bhp to deal with. However, it's better to have it than to lose that feature. Well done, Honda. But the thing is that now this becomes a little tricky for Honda, as CB300R does not come with the traction control, but the CB300F, which is placed below the motorcycle, does feature the traction control. So I think even the 300R in future could get Honda's traction control. Now, to sum it up, this motorcycle is certainly light on its feet and you can certainly enjoy the corners. However, the lightness of this motorcycle is something that the rider needs to get used to have more control over the motorcycle, especially in the corners. So that was our take on the all-new CB300F Streetfighter motorcycle by Honda from its big wing portfolio. According to us, this is a very light and nimble motorcycle, as is like all other Honda motorcycles. However, pricing is something that needs to be justified, with 300cc priced at 2.3 lakh ex-showroom. What do you think of this motorcycle? Mention them in the comments below. Also, like and share this video and do subscribe to DriveSpark if you haven't done it already. This is Bharadwaj signing off. Stay safe and ride safe.